unseen bridegroom. Once upon a time there was a king and queen, as many a one has been, and they had 3 daughters, all of them beautiful, but the most beautiful of all was the youngest, whose name was Anima. Now it happened one day that all 3 sisters were playing in the meadows, and Anima saw a bush with lovely flowers. As she wished to carry it home to plant in her own garden, she plucked at the root and plucked again. At last it gave way, and she saw beneath it a stairway going down farther into the earth. Being a brave girl and very curious as to where this could lead to, without calling her sisters, she crept down the stairs for a long way, till at last she came out into the open air again in a country which she had never seen before, and not far away, in front of her, she saw a magnificent palace. Anima ran towards it, and when she came to the door she knocked at the knocker and opened without anybody being there. So she went in and found all inside richly bedecked with marble walls and rich trappings, and, as she went along, lovely music broke out and came with her wherever she went. At last she came to a room with cozy couches, and she threw herself into one because she was tired with her searching. Scarcely had she done so, when there appeared a table coming towards her on wheels, without anybody moving it, and upon the table were delightful fruits and cakes and cool drinks of all kinds. So Anima took as much as she needed and fell into slow slumber and did not awake till it was getting dark, and then appeared through the air 2 large candlesticks, each with 3 candles in them, and they swam through the air and settled upon the tables near her, so that she had plenty of light. But she cried out, "Oh, I must go back to my father and mother, how shall I go, how shall I go?" Then a sweet voice near her spoke out and said, "Abide with me and be my bride, and thou shalt have all thy heart desires." But Anima cried out in fear and trembling, "But who art thou, who art thou? Come forth and let me see thee." But the voice replied, "Nay, nay, that is forbid, never must thou look upon my face or we must part. For my mother, the queen, wishes not that I should wed." So sweet was his voice and so lovely did Anima feel, that she considered to become his bride, and they lived happily together, though he never came near her till all was dark, so that she could not see him. But after a time Anima became weary even with all these splendors and happiness, and wished to see her own people again, and said to her husband, "Please may I go home and see my father and my mother and my dear sisters?" "Nay, nay, child," said the voice of her husband, "ill will come of it if thou seest them again, and thou and I must part." But she kept on begging him to let her return to her people for a visit, or at least to let them come and see her, till at last he consented and sent a message to her father and mother and sisters, asking them to come and spend some days with her, at a time when he himself would have to be absent. So the king and queen and Anima's 2 sisters came and wondered at the splendors of her new home, and, above all, was surprised to find that they were waited on by invisible hands, who did all for them that they could wish for. But Anima's sisters soon became both curious and envious. They could not guess who or what her husband was, and envied her having so wonderful a household. So one of them said to her, "But Anima, how marry a man without ever seeing him? There must be some reason why he will not show himself. Perhaps he is deformed, or maybe he is some beast transformed." But Anima laughed and said, "He is no beast, that I am sure, and see how kind he is to me. I do not care if he is not as handsome as he does,